What is up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters. Welcome to No Life to Metal. It's time for a Rock Metal Update. That's right, it's time for a rock metal update. However, this particular update is going to be all metal. Didn't really grab. I've been buying a lot of music recently. Doesn't really matter why, but I do have a few records here to show. These are all metal. Have a few rock records I'm going to show in a later video when I get a few more to add to it. But right now we're just going to go through the metal. Showed you my last rock metal update, which is probably about a month and a half ago. I picked up the third Spellcaster record, and Spellcaster's got to be the first band I ever discovered because of a t-shirt. Seriously, Eric Dust, EJD715 in the vinyl community sent me this as VCLT, and I was like, yeah, you know, I can't wear a shirt of a band I don't know, and so I didn't. But I found that third album on, I don't know, Amazon or eBay or one of those places for fairly cheap. I mean, it was right around the $15 range, brand new. So I dug it. It was very good, straightforward heavy metal in that new wave of traditional heavy metal style. So I started looking for their other albums. First album has still eluded me, but I did manage to score, thanks to a tip from Biosite LJ, the second one from Spellcaster. The band was actually selling these at a really good price on their Bandcamp page. They still seem to have more, so if you're interested in the second Spellcaster album, check it out. Go to their Bandcamp page and grab a copy for yourself before they're gone. These are just black vinyl with a black and white center ring, independent release, great stuff. Really glad to have it. I haven't dug into this one quite as much as I did the third one. I don't like to play all a band's records at one time, and I like to digest them one at a time. So I've only played this one once or twice, but I like what I heard, so I'm gonna, be spinning this one more in the coming weeks. Let's see, I need to put this somewhere else. All right, next up, this is one I grabbed while I was out in California with Bill Bafford. Got it in a discount bin, still sealed. One of the few things that I picked up that wasn't a 7-inch single, if you saw my recent 7-inch single update. This is Hatred, Heroes of Origin. Now, Hatred was basically Steve Souza Zetro from Exodus. This is his band after he had left Exodus, came back to Exodus, and then exited Exodus again for whatever reason, and they released this. He actually has 2 albums out under the Hatred name, and this is, I can't remember if this is the first or second, doesn't really matter. His band is made up of, 3/5 of this band is Sousa's. So you've got Steve here in the middle, who is of course from Exodus, and you've got his sons Cody and Nick Souza, who are the bass player and drummer in this band. And if you like Exodus, that's exactly what you're going to get here. I mean, the name is taken out of a lyric from a Exodus song. It's just, yeah, it's hatred for the government. What's new, right? But it's just straightforward thrash metal with veteran vocalist on vocals. So very good stuff. The drumming here is just incredible. If that's Steve's son, man, he's very talented. He's just wicked fast. This is actually a limited pressing on Massacre Records. 256 of 500 this one was, so glad to have it. I'd like to get the other one eventually too. This one here I've actually had for a little while now, and this is my third album from this band, and I have, of the 3, I hate to say which one my favorite, but this one is very, very good. Maybe, I showed their other 2 albums before, and it's like once I discover an album that I like from a band, I start looking for their other albums, which is almost why I don't like discovering new music sometimes, because I get, just obsessed with finding their other stuff. And this happens to be one of those bands. They are kind of a speed metal band, thrash at times, sometimes even doomy. They're all kind of all over the map, but it's a solid album from front to back. Very enjoyable. Doesn't have the high-pitched vocals that some of their newer albums have. It has more of a straightforward thrash style vocal, but like I said, I love that style, so that's what you're going to get here. Very cool artwork on here. This is a gatefold. There's the whole artwork, and this is also numbered 86 of 500. This is actually a repressing. This is originally released, I believe, on CD only by Mausoleum, so this is the first time it's been available on on vinyl. It's come from a label in Sweden called TPL. Don't know that label at all. But yeah, great thrash metal band. I'm not sure how I missed these guys. They were apparently very active, you know, and they're still very active, but through the 90s. And there wasn't a whole lot of great metal like this in the 90s, so I don't know how I missed them, but I'm glad to have discovered them now. So, number 3 from them for me. This is, after all, Mercury Rising. Speed metal, thrash metal, and why don't I just go ahead and put a needle drop in somewhere. So there you go. That's a little bit of after all, Mercury Rising. Great band. Been around since, I guess, the late 80s. So another new wave of traditional heavy metal band. This is one who Harmless Rebel suggested. And again, I think it was either LG or Greeno who told me a place to get it very inexpensively, because it's kind of hard to find these days. But this is Trial and the Primitive Temple. And this is definitely new wave of traditional heavy metal. These kind of guys go along with, you know, the, I don't know, Night Demon kind of stuff, you know, or who else would you compare to? Enforcer, those kind of bands, you know. Straightforward heavy metal inspired by the classic 80s style bands, you know, Judas Priest and Metal Church and Iron Maiden and, you know, all those bands that were influential from the 80s. That's what these guys are going for. Another one of those young bands that's just keeping this traditional style alive, which I can really appreciate. Totally into the 80s style, but you know what, they still have their own sound. I think their logo is incredibly hard to read, but it actually says Trial, and yeah, I like it. This is one that Harmless Rebel highly recommended, and again, another one that's only 500 pressed, 465 of 500. Seems to be what's happening now is with record companies, it's limited pressings, and that's how record companies are staying alive, releasing lots of titles, limited pressings, so that they sell out, and you know, you don't have a bunch of catalogs sitting in a warehouse somewhere. So anyhow, this is one that these are a couple actually reissues that I was super excited that were reissued because they're just impossible to find on you know, original copies. Originally released in New Renaissance Records. I was in college when this came out. This is Blood Feast, Kill for Pleasure. Yeah, okay, it's B grade horror stuff, you know. But I was in college when this came out, and I was in college with a roommate who was a disc jockey for the college radio station, so he wrote to a lot of labels, and they would send him free records. Well, New Renaissance Records sent him a crap load of records. This is one of the ones that was in that pile of records, and man, we just ate this stuff up. You know, it's kind of raw, somewhere between early Dark Angel and Slayer. It fits right in with those kind of things, just, you know, very raw, very guttural, thrash metal, but man, it's just, I don't know, nostalgic perhaps, but if you like thrash metal, if you like that raw, aggressive sound from the 80s, that's exactly what you get with these guys. Very underground, you know, sure, they're, you know, known within the metal community, but outside, yeah, who? Blood Feast? Yeah. I think I just ordered the black vinyl copy. It did. And this is, like I said, originally on New Renaissance. It's licensed to High Roller, who did a fantastic job with it. The sound is incredible. I actually have an original CD pressing on New Renaissance, and it sounds, I think, as good, if not better, than the CD version. But hard to really tell, because CDs are just, they're just a different beast. I like them both. It's a little warmer sounding. This is probably one of those albums that was actually, you know, they had the original master tapes for, because I think it just sounds that good. But it came with a poster of the cover as well. So there you go. That's Blood Feast, Kill for Pleasure. A little more thrash metal. So far it's been, what, new wave of traditional heavy metal and thrash metal. Well, we're going to continue with that trend, because this is another release that was, I don't even think it was ever released in the US before on vinyl. First time being released in the US. This is Overkill. And so glad to have Horoscope on vinyl finally. Man, this has been on my Grail list forever. And if you saw my vinyl Grail video from, I don't know, a few weeks ago, this one wasn't on there. Well, there was a reason for that, because I already had this to show you guys. So I'm very glad to have this. Overkill have always been one of my favorite bands. Well, I shouldn't say always. You know what? You know how I really discovered Overkill? When I was in New Jersey. I got their second album, and I loved it. But then in, I don't know, 1990 or so, I kind of forgot about them for a while. Not that I wasn't a fan anymore, I just didn't think about it. Well, my band Ultimatum started recording, and our first album kept getting compared to Exodus and Overkill, and I'm like, Overkill. So I, you know, I don't know why, I just kind of forgot. But I picked back up on them, and I've been like a massive fan ever since, having seen them in concert many times, and meeting them, and yeah, just a massive Overkill fan these days. So yeah. People can compare my band to Overkill all they want to. If you're going to get compared, at least get compared to somebody great, and that's what you're going to get with Overkill. This is probably one of their most pure thrash records. They've always been a little bit of a mixture of thrash and straightforward metal, and they've even done doom songs, even as early back as the 80s. So they've always been that kind of mix that I enjoyed. New Jersey-based Overkill. Horoscope. Start your ear off right. Rhino Records. Yeah, classic album from Overkill. No reason to spin that one. You can find that one easily on YouTube. This is the only other album I picked up while I was out in California. Again, I picked this up for a very, very cheap price. I'm glad I did. Love Girlschool, and especially Girlschool Live. This is live in 1982. So early on in their career, you know, they still had that raw, Motorheadish sound. They hadn't polished up quite yet. Fantastic, and the sound quality is very good. I haven't only spun it once, so you know, and I didn't crank it, but what I heard sounded good. So I'm not going to say it's sonically the best thing I ever heard, because honestly I haven't given it that much of a chance yet. But it's raw, heavy, new wave of British heavy metal from Girlschool, and yeah, great band. Love them live. So very cool to pick this up. Greg the Egg. If you haven't picked this one up, you might want to grab it, because it's great sound. A few more left here. This is another sticking with the new wave of traditional heavy metal. This is an EP from Cauldron, Into the Cauldron. Really been into them in the last year or so, looking for all their stuff, and unfortunately it's not easy to find, except for their newer album. For whatever reason, their early stuff is just out of print. Like I said, probably because of short runs that record company's been doing. 6 songs, and yep, just straightforward heavy metal out of Canada. The Striker Strikes, Into the Cauldron, Restless, Tortures, Too Kind, Axe Cross, and Making Noise and Drinking Beer. There you go. Cauldron, straightforward heavy metal. Great band from Canada. Like I said, in that kind of Judas Priest meets Metal Church with a bit of Iron Maiden mixed in, you know, which a lot of these bands are doing, and frankly, that's right up my alley. So, another young band keeping the traditional style alive. Two more records. This is Another thrash band, although these guys are a different animal. This is Vector, and this is their third full-length album. They had demo CDs before this, so it's hard to actually call their third when they had early releases that were independently released. But Terminal Redux, and if you saw my best of 2016, this one was very high on the list. Saw these guys perform this entire album live in a little club in Albuquerque, and then it was fantastic. Prog, metal, thrash parts, but there's a little bit of everything on here. I've talked about this one before, so I'm not going to sit here and drone on about it. You guys seen me talk about it in that video and What's Spinning videos, and yeah, just one of my favorites from 2016. So when I found a copy inexpensively a month or two back, I had to pick it up because it's just that good, and it's worth owning on vinyl. Yeah, this is I think it's just on black vinyl. I have to check real quick. And everybody hates that sound from those sleeves. It is a gatefold. Yeah, see here. I'm pretty sure I usually order the black vinyl if it's available. There's the gatefold, picture of the band. Insert more photos of the band, lyrics. And I'm pretty sure I picked up the black vinyl. Yeah, I did. Black vinyl, custom center rings on Earache Records. Out of the UK, I believe Earache is. And one final record. This is one of those bands. I don't know how many videos ago it was, but I said something about a band. I think it might have been Hammerfall, where I was talking about this is one of those bands, or maybe it was Grave. That's who it was. It was Gravedigger. I said this is one of those bands who were a staple for me in the 1990s, because the 90s was kind of a depressing age for music as far as I was concerned, because heavy metal was almost a dirty word. There wasn't a lot of traditional metal out there, but if you knew about it and you kept to the underground, you could still get stuff like, you know, Iced Earth and Hammerfall, and there was just so many great bands, but they were all kind of, you know, under everybody's radar. And Gravedigger was another one of those bands that I just loved through the 90s, and so I started digging into other bands that I was just heavily into in the 90s and wasn't giving as much of a spin to recently. And man, I just got addicted to listening to this band again. This is Steel Prophet, a band who's been around since the 80s. I gotta admit, their 80s material was never great to me, but right around the early 90s, they just got spectacular with the Goddess Principle and Continuum and those albums. And then they went and they signed with the Massacre Records, and the Massacre releases are just fantastic. So yeah, if I do a What's Spinning video in the near future, you're going to see quite a bit of Steel Prophet, because these guys are fantastic. But this is their most recent release, 2015 or 14, somewhere back that area. I bought it on CD when it was brand new. I don't think it was available as on vinyl when it was brand new. It's available now on a 2-album set, and it is long enough to fit on 2 albums, so it's not one of those ones that has, you know, 1 song on each side. But this is Omniscient. Straightforward American heavy metal. You know, they get compared to Queensryche a lot, but they don't really sound like Queensryche. They're all over the map musically. You know, again, much like the other bands I described, you know, they have little bits of doom. There's actually songs on here that remind me of Solitude Alternus and that kind of thing. But then they go full on speed metal at times, you know, and almost to a point of thrash metal, like an old Agent Steel. And so it's all over the map, but it still all sounds like them. It's still a solid album from front to back. There is one silly song on here, and it's silly on purpose. They're kind of poking fun, but 666 is everywhere, the heavy metal blues song. There's actually a video for that one on YouTube, so check it out if you have a chance. I like the song, but it's purposely goofy and fun. Now again, this is a gatefold. Pictures of the band. There's where's the bass player? Here you go. Vince Dennis, who's played with Prong, and he was in Tourniquet for a while, among other bands. But he's been one of the main bass players for Steel Prophet from way back. And then Vince. And then the singer's name, who's escaping my mind, Rick Mathiasen, who has sang on almost every single full-length album from Steel Prophet. Great vocalist, awesome singer. He's just got one of those soaring classic styles like James Rivera or yeah, Jeff Tate. But you know, but it doesn't sound like either one of them. He's got his own unique style. And finally, guitar player Steve Kaczynski, who has, you know, been the main guy in the band, main songwriter, main lyric writer from the beginning. Great band. If you like classic heavy metal from the 80s, this is right up your alley. Steel Prophet, Omniscient. And this is black vinyl as well. And you might be hearing some noise in the background. That's because my grandson just woke up from his nap and walked into the room. Bruce! Come see me. Come see me, Bruce. Oh, Roxy. You're okay, you're okay. Come here. Come here. This is my grandson. Bruce, get down, Roxy. Sit. My dog is excited because Bruce is up from his nap, so. Can you say hi to everybody?
Hi.
Can you say metal?
Metal.
Metal. Metal. That's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a message below and I'll get back to you ASAP. God bless. Stay strong. Say bye.